Hey everybody, Colton here, and I wanted to talk about why Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars being delayed is actually fantastic news and has me super relieved and feeling even more optimistic about just how great these three Avengers films are going to be. And yes, I did say three Avengers films. Not only does this news bode well for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, but I think we will also soon learn about a third Avengers film that will be part of this Secret Wars trilogy. Let me explain. So, Marvel Studios has officially delayed Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars by approximately 7 months each. Originally slated for May 2026 and May 2027, these films are now scheduled to premiere on December 18th, 2026 and December 17th, 2027. Now, while some goobers online are pretending that this is a sign of chaos and doom, pun intended, for the MCU, it's actually the best news we as MCU fans could have possibly hoped for. As of late, the MCU has been in a difficult position, not quite meeting the expectations that we had come to expect after the Infinity Saga. But recent critical successes like the Thunderbolts have been encouraging, but there's no refuting the fact that Marvel Studios, deservedly or not, they have suffered a bit of a reputation hit. Not only have some of the shows and movies not met the standard that fans have come to expect out of an MCU project, but there was also the whole Kang debacle. The centerpiece of their new saga wasn't received well in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, despite delivering what I felt was a phenomenal performance. Granted, having him get defeated so easily by the Ant family wasn't the greatest idea. But despite all that, then of course came the Jonathan Majors legal troubles and the ultimate transition of Avengers the Kang Dynasty into Avengers Doomsday and the introduction of the saga's new big bad, Doctor Doom, portrayed by Robert Downey Jr. Now, while I have been a staunch supporter of this casting and absolutely loving the endless possibilities that come with having RDJ as Doom, even I have been super nervous about the short amount of time that the Russos were going to have to make this movie happen if it was going to be released in May of next year. This is going to be a big movie. Not only is it culminating the multiverse saga or even just the MCU, but as the Russos have said, this film is also serving as a new beginning for a new MCU. And on top of that, it's also a culmination event for Marvel films dating back before even that of the first Iron Man. The original Fox-era X-Men are confirmed to have a huge role in this film, and we can safely assume that both Tobey and Andrew's Spider-Man will be joining in, at least in Secret Wars. So I'm very glad and relieved that they now have the time to make these movies right, and I'm personally very excited that they'll be coming out around Christmas time, which has proven to be a very successful release time for other Disney projects like Avatar and Star Wars. And with this shifting of dates, we have some big implications for other MCU films as well, such as Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man Brand New Day, a film that was once set to release between Doomsday and Secret Wars, leading some to speculate that it might take place on Battleworld or in the Void, but now, if this date for Brand New Day stays the same, it will be coming out before Avengers Doomsday. This now opens the door for Spider-Man Brand New Day to be that street-level film that so many fans have wanted, a true sequel to what was brilliantly set up at the end of No Way Home. A movie showcasing Spider-Man living in a New York City run by a Mayor Wilson Fisk who has implemented strict no-vigilante laws. Granted, Vincent D'Onofrio has made clear that the film rights to the Kingpin are a little tricky, and as far as he knows, he's only able to appear on television. Anyway, we have seen film release schedules affect the actual plot of MCU movies before, such as with Spider-Man. You see, Multiverse of Madness was pushed coming out after Spider-Man No Way Home, when originally it was going to come out before. And we saw America Chavez's role in No Way Home completely removed, and the story was altered. So I'm curious if the same will be true for Brand New Day. I mean, I would assume that they have a script at least outlined and a general story ready for this fourth Spider-Man film, and I'd hate to think that just because a date changed that meant the entire plot was going to change. But back when Brand New Day was coming out between Doomsday and Secret Wars, I actually speculated that Brand New Day, despite coming out in between these two films, could still take place before Doomsday, like Ant-Man and the Wasp did with Infinity War. It came out after Infinity War, but it mostly took place before Infinity War. So if that was the case with Brand New Day, that it was coming out after Doomsday but mostly taking place before Doomsday, then this date change is really nothing but good news for Brand New Day because it can still tell the story it planned to tell without having to worry about the events of Doomsday hitting screens beforehand. I think this also opens the door to making sure that they can get Spider-Man in this damn Avengers Doomsday movie. Spider-Man better be in it. I mean, how do you do an Avengers Doomsday and not include Spidey? I mean, yeah, sure, there have been Avengers films without Spider-Man, but now that we have him in the MCU, it would just feel wrong to get the gang together and not have Spider-Man there. So hopefully this date change is also good news for Spider-Man's role in these movies. And with this shift in dates, there is also now an open slot between Doomsday and Secret Wars that was once the date for Avengers Secret Wars, but it could be filled, of course, by another Disney project, it could just be an abandoned date, or it could be filled by another MCU film, such as a sequel to one of their recent successes, like a Deadpool and Wolverine 2, a Thunderbolts 2, which admittedly would be difficult considering that the end of that movie and their post-credit scene, there was the time skip, and they were rebranded the New Avengers, and there was the Fantastic Four / Doomsday tease with the Fantastic Four rocket coming into the MCU's orbit. But I mean, the possibilities, that they're there. They're there. But let me throw a crazy idea out there for you. What if Doomsday and Secret Wars are two films that are part of a trilogy of Avengers films? This is a huge story that I think could warrant having 3 huge event films as a massive Marvel crossover trilogy of films with no other movies coming out in between. A trilogy that, unlike other MCU trilogies with spin-off films in between that are pretty much required viewing to watch the trilogy. For example, you can't really watch the Captain America trilogy without watching the Avengers movies and the Iron Man movies, and you can't really watch the Avengers movies without watching the Thor movies. You see what I mean? But imagine, however, if we got a trilogy of Avengers films that were one through-line story beginning with Avengers Doomsday. Now, it's possible that Secret Wars could then be the second installment of this trilogy, and then we could see a third Avengers film announced at like Comic-Con that would be set on a release date after Avengers Secret Wars. But what if, and hear me out, what if this release date between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars that was once the Avengers Secret Wars release date, what if it is given to another Avengers film? That would mean that in December of 2026, we would get Avengers Doomsday, then 6 months later, another Avengers film that would be a direct follow-up to Doomsday, and then 6 months after that, we would get the big finale, Avengers Secret Wars. I think this huge culmination event story that they are telling is going to be a story that not only ends one era, but as the Russos have said, begins another. So why not give us something bigger than we've ever seen the MCU do before? Infinity War and Endgame, they were kind of like a duology, Endgame coming out just a year after Infinity War, and continuing that story and serving as a direct sequel to Avengers Infinity War. But why not take it a step further and go bigger than before and give us an Avengers trilogy to tell this massive story that has a gigantic cast, and I don't think that they would have any trouble whatsoever finding enough story to span these 3 movies instead of cramming it all into just 2. But regardless of if this big shift is a sign for another Avengers film to come, or if it's just confirmation that they are going to take their time to make these 2 films perfectly. Either way, it's phenomenal news, and while it may suck to have to wait a little longer to get these movies, I do think that they will be better for it. But hey, those are just my quick thoughts. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. I've been Colton Ogburn, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
You're still here. It's over. Go home.